If Scott Hall closes, there's nothing that replaces it. On this community, in this estate, you don't just replace a church like this. They've been here 70 years. Leeds is, I think, it's an exciting city. It's one of the fastest growing cities in the country. It hasn't always been that way. It had a bit of a reputation for being grim and grey and industrial. Historically was what Leeds was like. It was an industrial city. But as more investment has come into the city, Leeds is now an exciting place to live. People want to live here. It does have a knock-on effect, is that the traditional residential parts of Leeds feel like they've been overlooked. Scott Hall was originally a Brethren church, and they bought this land and didn't do anything with it, but they had the land, knowing that Leeds was growing. On the land, they built a small wooden shack, and that became the church that we now have here at Scott Hall. They were all commuting in from the suburbs, and so they're asking, do we just sell the building and buy something near where we live? They actually felt God telling them no. Continue, serve, invest in this community, and just trust that I'm going to do something. And so 20 years ago, the church, they decided to do that. And they began by setting up a homework club. Tuesday evening, open up the church building and help kids off the estate with their homework. That's been going on now for over 20 years. And from that, just slowly families began to warm to the church and realize, why do you guys do this? And one by one, a few at a time, they start asking questions, and then coming on Sundays. God brought people into the church. He brought people to faith. We were struck by how much of a tragedy it would be if this church was ever to close. One time I'd met with one of the elders, and he looked me in the face and said, look, we're so encouraged by what God's doing. 3 or 4 years down the line, everyone's either going to be burnt out or we're just going to have to close the doors. We need to think through, how do we keep this going? Lots of the ministries that happen in Scott Hall are designed to show the community this church is for them. The main one will be the homework club, runs on Tuesday evening. I think, I'd say 95% of the kids who come to homework club, they also come to the first part. But that means every Tuesday, there are 30 to 40 children on the estate hearing the gospel. And so I think long-term investment, we want to see this church be a beacon of hope for the community and the regions around it. My hope is that we'd have people from the estate raised up to be leaders who take the gospel to the community. They're the people who are best suited to reach the people on Scott Hall. My biggest encouragement for the last few years is seeing those people grow as evangelists and witnesses for Jesus, helping them see you're not just a consumer who comes on Sunday and gets preached to, but actually you are the best person in this community to proclaim the gospel. The nature of a community like this is that lots of migrants who come to a city will typically end up living in areas like Scott Hall. So it means that our church of 40, 50 people has 13 nationalities. What if God was to use us to equip those people to go wherever God takes them, whether it's back home, whether it's to different parts of the UK, able to share the gospel in a way that we never could? I found that having gone to incubator with the intention of planting, the incubator course helped so much. It helped me see that the church plant we were going to wasn't the right decision. And so it felt difficult to accept the reality that maybe this wasn't the right thing to do. I do think the incubator course helps so much, not just in the content, but the time with other church planters to get to that clarity that otherwise just felt difficult to find.